Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the CKC channel. I'm your host, Freedom Master Calvin Claassen, and welcome to another edition, lovely episode of Reflections, the second last episode for the year of our first season of Reflections, and what a season it has been thus far. Um, yeah, if you are new to the show, then go and check out more of the reflections on YouTube. Most of the reflections are already on YouTube, so you can go to the CKC YouTube channel. Just go onto YouTube and search Calvin Class and Chess, and you'll find most of the reflections. I'm sure by the end of our last episode, you'll upload everything for you. So yeah, but this is our second last one. Next week, the 1st of December, we have our reflections finale. It's going to be a nice one. But before we get there, we have a very lovely episode for you this evening with uh, Dr. Bouah interviewing someone very special. And once again, if you are new to the show, don't forget to press the follow button. That will enable the chat box, and you can then ask some questions to our special guest. Just make sure to throw in your questions early. Viewers tend to wait for the last minute, and then we can miss out. You can miss out on your question being asked. So yeah, I think we can go over now to the reflections library and over to you, Dr. Bouah.
Thank you very much, Calvin, and good evening, viewers. It's lovely to be here again on this Tuesday evening. Tonight, I've got a very special guest. This lady is a Women International Master. She has won the South African Women's Championship 3 times, the only woman to have done so in recent years. And she has played 7 Olympiads. And ladies and gentlemen, tonight I present Women International Master, Dr. Denise Bouah. Welcome, Denise, to the show.
Thank you, Lyndon and Calvin. Good evening, viewers.
Now, Denise, it seems I've got your CV here that we'll be going through for the next hour. You've won the South African title 3 times. You've played at 7 Olympiads. You've played at board 1, and you've won a number of medals at the All African Games. But let's go to the beginning. How did it all start for you?
Lyndon, I was 11 when I first played my first tournament. I started quite late, and I basically did what my brothers did, and both of them played chess. And so the natural thing for me was to also participate in a tournament, because that is what the family usually did over a weekend. And so I joined in and I played my first tournament. I scored a nice fat 0, and that's how it started. And I just ended up playing every time my brothers played.
Now, Denise, how did your writing progress from that first initial tournament where you had note? How did you progress through those years?
Yes, I started with a just over 700 rating, and when I was 13, I've managed to up that to 920, and I was 15. At age 15, I had a 1200 rating. So it's not really comparable today with what the girls are having at age 15. But in comparison with them, I was basically a beginner at that age. Well, it took a while.
Now, it's interesting that you kept those statistics on that side. Now, you see that your brothers also played. Did you guys play in the same school team? How did it work there in your household?
Yes, well, I've got 2 brothers, one older, Jock, and the younger brother is Tarsius. And we were in Garsfontein Primary. And we had a big school league there as well in Pretoria. So we played for the school team. Jock and Tarsius played much better than me. Tarsius usually played for the A team. And I was normally stuck there in the C team, C1, C2 roundabout. And I actually found one of my notation sheets this week. I was just going through some of my stuff, and I saw there that I was actually challenging my older brother at some point for a spot in the team.
And how did that go?
I saw the first one I've won, and then we had to play a second one to prove that the lesser player was actually beating. But it's a 70-move game, and didn't indicate the results. So I actually have to sit and play through that to see what happened in the end.
No.
But we were quite competitive against each other because we played, I mean, we were close to age, so we played in the same tournaments, and but we had a good rivalry, which was good.
Yeah, no, that I suppose that's how a lot of chess families start, with one of the kids playing and then everybody else. And then as things have moved along, I assumed you played some of the teams for Gauteng North in the junior championships. That was normally in December. Can you recall your when you played in those events?
Yes, I have played. My first SA Juniors was at the age of 13. I scraped into the B team for the primary schools in Noord-Transvaal still, Northern Transvaal. And when I went to high school, it turned to Gauteng North. And in those days, we didn't have the age group sections. You basically had the primary school teams and the high school teams. So everybody from grade 8 up to matric all competed for the same teams. So in my final year, I've played and managed to actually arrive in the A team. And actually in December that year, won the award for the Gauteng North player that scored the best at the junior. So they combined the individual and the team results. So it was a nice ending to the school career.
Now, well done on that one. I see from your international career that you played at the World Youth in Spain. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, I was actually lucky to play there because at the junior nationals in my grade 11 year, grade 11 year, I had an opponent there, Kim McKenzie, and we were playing to see who was the best women player for that section who would be going to the World Youth the next year. And in those years, only one girl per age group went. So it was not like nowadays where there's quite a few. So there's one spot left. And then at the last round of the nationals, she was playing a weaker opponent and I was playing a stronger opponent, just as the Swiss will have it. And I just looked at it and thought, there's just no ways. And obviously I lost quickly and she won quickly. And she was the girl player to go. But then 3 months before the World Youth, she pulled out. And then they called me and said, you're up next. So I was very, very happy. And it meant that I missed my matric exam. I decided that chess is very, very important. And I went to play chess. And I wrote one matric paper, I wrote German. And then the rest went to play chess. And then the next year I wrote the rest of my exam. So chess came first.
So you gave your matric exams up there to make sure that you played in a World Youth. So well done on that one. Now, Denise, as you've progressed now, you then started to play some of the senior chess and the SA Ladies Opens around that time, because I remember that 1998 was the first time that South Africa sent a team to the Olympiad. Now, did you start to play in the SA Ladies Senior Opens? How did you find that?
Yes, I've played in my first SA Ladies Open in 1997. And I actually scored quite well. I won my first couple of games. And then the second last round, I ended up on board 1 against Yvette Ervia, who at that point was South Africa's best women player. And obviously she annihilated me. And then it was all downfall from there. But you know what we did in Gauteng North when I was younger is that there was this underlying thing that once you go to high school, you basically just started playing in the A sections of the open events. So for those first year or two, you really suffered. You scored maybe 2 out of 7, 1.5 out of 7. And then once you start getting 3 out of 7, then you know, all right, I'm starting to adapt. And I think that helped me quite a lot. I stuck it through and we didn't play just C and B sections. It was A section. And I think that helped. And then in 1999, I took my gap year into England and I stopped playing chess. I thought, no, I'm not going to be a chess player anymore. And but then I heard that there's an Olympiad team going in 2000 to Turkey, and I really wanted to play in the Olympiad team. But for that, I had to play in the Ladies Open. And I was in London at the time, and it was important to me. So I flew back in April, just after I wrote my matric exam in London at the embassy. I traveled back, playing the SA Ladies Open, just to make the top few spots so I can qualify to play in the closed. Then I had to play in the closed, you had to play in the open. And after that, in 99, while I was here, I also played in my first zone zonal 4.3 team championship. I played in the SA team 3 and played that, and then I flew back to England and
Sure.
came
So
back
it
the
was quite
next
a
year.
busy month or two that you had there in April, May of that
Yeah,
year.
I was busy, and I came back the next year, and then we played in the SA closed. It was the first SA Women's Closed to be held. They gave us a nice certificate to show that, and from there we had a playoff, because then there were a few of us that won the same score, and we played blitz to after the playoffs. We were still tied. We played blitz, and then they chose the Olympic team. From there we qualified through the blitz at the end.
Now, Denise, let's hold on to that thought there, because I want to get into the Olympiad. But one question that has always struck me was, it always seemed like Gauteng North had a good system for their juniors. Would you say there was a coaching system, or was there a different system? What did you think would be the difference why Gauteng North always had good players coming through the ranks?
Yeah, I think Gauteng North overall in the years that I was playing there, I can't speak for it now, was very competitive. Also, the strongest women players, most of them came from Gauteng North. So we were very, very strong competition for each other, and it made us work hard as well. So I always knew that, players like Christina Neetling, players up a bit north, Maranai, she was not in Gauteng North, and Claire Blizzard. But Cecile van der Merwe came from Gauteng North as well. So we were very strong contingent. And I think also because we played in the A sections quite early on already as youngsters. I think that makes a big difference as well. So the coaching system also was fantastic. I mean, there were always coaches available. I think what's different also, what I've picked up from the Gauteng North players in the era that I was there, for the hard work, because I had a coach, John Sutherland. And my dad in my high school years used to go drop me on a Saturday morning at about 9 o'clock. It was about an hour drive to John. Then my dad would drop me there at 9. I would spend the whole day with John, just doing chess. And then my dad would pick me up here at about 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And John would be like, no, it's fine. Just give me $50 for the day. It was that type of love for the game that was instilled. And John had quite a few very strong players that he worked with. I know he worked with Yvette, Johan Steenkamp, Robert Mills, and at that time, Nico Wiegers. And I think that was really nice for me to be part of that group. Once I got into John's circle, you actually felt quite special. So I think that was quite nice.
Yeah. No, thanks for that, because I think that was also my experience, that once you have a group of young people getting together, and even when you're in your early 20s, then your chess also tend to become stronger because you are practicing together. Now, Denise, you mentioned that you played the zonals that year when you came back from London. When did you get your title, your Women International Master title? When did you qualify?
Yeah, it's interesting, Lyndon, because on FIDE's website, it shows that I qualified in 2004, but I actually got my title in 2000. I played in the zonal championships in Botswana, and I scored my 6 out of 9. It was a very tough tournament as well. In those years, we didn't play with laptops or anything. It was very foreign. And 6 out of those 10 girls there that are still playing actively and competitively Olympiad level chess. And I remember that last round at that tournament, I was such a newbie to competitive chess at that level. I was playing Maranai Meyer in the last round, and I so badly wanted to win. And the night before, I took my big red MCO and I studied the English opening that I've never played in my life, because I was going to catch her off guard. And needless to say, I just got completely destroyed the next morning. She played me off the board because I was out of my opening lines on move 5. So it was a very, very valuable lesson that I learned in that tournament, is not to do things like that when you really want to win.
No, I think that's something that all of us come across, because sometimes you want to test out a new opening, or you want to catch your opponent, but then you yourself may be unfamiliar with the opening. Believe you me, it's happened to me a few times. I've seen that now. So it's something that all chess players have. But Denise, you qualified for that 2000 Olympiad, and you went on to play 6 more Olympiads. tell the audience a bit about your Olympiad experience, because I believe you also played board one for South Africa at a number of these Olympiads.
Yes, I've played my first Olympiad in 2000 in Turkey, and then the back bite. So I had to go back. I remember that first Olympiad, it was amazing to see Yusupov, because I used to work from Dovreski and Yusupov's books as a child. And to walk up to him and actually just greet him and get a signature. So Judith Polgar playing, you know, the big players were all there, and Morozevich was there, and Peter Svidler, and it was just great. And I had to go back. And so I went and played again in 2004 in Spain, 2006 in Italy. I played on board one for the first time. And I did quite well there, scored 6 out of 11 on board one. And then I took a bit of a break from the Olympiads. I didn't play for 6 years. There was some politics in women's chess that I just didn't agree with, and took a bit of a moral stance, and just decided not to play in the Olympiad cycles. And then I returned in 2012, and then been playing in 2012, 2014, 2016, and 18. And then on 2014 and 2016, I played on board one as well. So there were 3 Olympiads on board one.
No, well done, firstly, because I mean, I think together with Anzel Loupsche, you guys have got 7 Olympiads behind your name. So congratulations on that. I mean, it's to get to the Olympiad, to play so many Olympiads is just phenomenal. And I mean, that's over 50 caps there just at Olympiad level that you'd have. Now, Denise, one of the things that struck me about your CV was that you won 3 SA close, and then at the same time, you also were winning the student championships at that time. And you then went on to get the Chancellor's Medal at the University of Pretoria. Tell us a bit about your academic side of things of those years, and where did you guys play?
Yes, you know, I think when I arrived at University of Pretoria in 2000, they did not have a chess club. And I wanted to play in SASU at the end of the year, but for that you had to have a chess club. So I was one of the founding members of the Tuks Chess Club as it is now, and we founded the club in 2001 with my brother Jock and Faisal Rahman. He was the treasurer at the time, and Jock was the president, the chairperson, and then I was the vice chairperson of the chess club. And so we got that going. And so yes, I won the student nationals, the women's section in 2000 and again in 2003. And I was studying psychology at the time. And yes, that Vice Chancellor's Award was probably the best award I've received. It came as a huge surprise, because I was nominated at the University of Pretoria for Student Sports Women of the Year. And they actually gave me this award, which in my mind topped it all, because it's the award for the student at the University of Pretoria that had the best combined academic and sport performance for the year. So I felt very privileged to receive that award.
No, and well done, and congratulations. I mean, it's a very prestigious award, and I mean, it's something that you should definitely make sure that it shows that you can have a good sport side and an academic side as well. Denise, you've mentioned that you've played at those Olympiads. When I looked at your results, I looked at 2004 in Spain, and you guys seem to have had a good run there. I recall a victory over Vietnam. I recall a victory over Kyrgyzstan, and there was even a game that you played against Iceland and another one against Austria where you were taking those ladies out. Tell us a bit about that Olympiad.
We had a phenomenal team that year. It was Cecile van der Merwe, Mignon Pretorius, I played, and Janine Elappen played. And I think all 4 of us really pushed each other in those years, and very competitive. Mignon has won the women's championship. Cecile has won it. I've won it the year later. And I don't know, we just swoomed in there, beat Vietnam, which was a top 20 country at that time, with 2,200 rated women international masters, and then some of those other countries as well. It was amazing. It was really, I haven't been in a team again where we had such good results. It was really great.
No, I think, and I mean, all well done to you and the team there, because I mean, beating those countries where you had name like Vietnam and a former Soviet republic like Kyrgyzstan, and of course the daughters from Iceland and Austria. I mean, those were just phenomenal. So well done on that result. Denise, what would you say is your style in chess?
I like to think of myself as quite an attacking player, but I'm also a careful player. And that's an odd combination, because sometimes you hold back too much or sometimes you attack too quickly. So for me, it's always to find the balance between that. And I think I'm also quite positional. I've in my earlier years at school, I only used to look at Dvoretsky books, training for the tournament player, positional play, technique for the tournament player. Those were the things that I've studied. So so I think that would sum up my style. And I like to complicate positions as well. I play boring positions, if I can put it as boring, but I like it if things are happening and it actually challenges me.
Now, talking about exciting games and tournaments, I see from your CV that you've played a lot in Africa. 2003, you played in the world team that played in Abuja, and then you played for South Africa at the All African Games in 2003. You played in Algeria in 2007, and then you played in Mozambique in 2011. And then coupled with that, you also played 6 African individuals. Denise, what is your relationship with Africa? Tell us.
Yeah, all I can say, I love to play in Africa. And for me, it's a bit of a challenge every time, because I don't like mosquitoes and bugs. And I always go with this arsenal of things to spray and rub on myself at these events. And it's a challenge. When we played in Nigeria in 2003, I've never experienced something like that, where you really had to rough it. There was no hotel accommodation. It was so hot. And, for the first about 2 days, we really had good food. And then, I remember walking in and saw Natalie, the swimmer, eating a plate of just corn and peas, because that's all that was served. It was later on the Team South Africa actually started ordering food in for us, because we couldn't eat. There was no food to eat sometimes. There was just no healthy balance. But through that, you get to know so many players. I have a big affinity for players from Africa. I think a lot of them, are so humble, friendly. Whenever I arrive at the African tournament anywhere, people know you and they greet you. And it's good to see people again that you've first met in 2003. I mean, that's 17 years ago, that are still playing. So I must say, when I played in the world team against Nigeria, it was a test run for the All African Games. I was really surprised when I got the call up to go. So basically in that year, I spent a month in Nigeria, in Abuja, and it was hectically hot. And then, yes, we went to Zambia. And I mean, there's so many tales that you can tell from things that happened, just having cold showers, no aircon. In one of I remember it was the 2007 All African Games. We went to the dinner hall and we saw the people fighting for the food, literally fighting for the food. It was a mess, and those are not normal chess playing conditions. It's different, and I think it builds you as a player and as a person, because you get to see the different side of life, and now people actually have to things that they are not used to. But I love playing in Africa. I think the style of our African players are great. It's never a dull moment on the board. People are creative, and I enjoy that a lot.
Now, Denise, let's go for a moment to Mozambique in 2011. You came joined second there. Firstly, you came joined second in Zambia in 2005 at the African individuals, and then in a playoff you beat Melissa Grieff, and that qualified you to go to Russia to play in the World Cup. How did it go? And I recall you were sitting, was it on board 1 or board 2 against Hampi Kuneru?
Yeah, Lyndon, just to backtrack a little bit there. When I joined second in Zambia, I was very, very disappointed because I only took the top 2 players to the World Championship the next year. And I was joint second with a lady from Egypt, and they just simply didn't allow the women to have a playoff. And it would have been a blitz playoff. And at that stage, my blitz was really, really good. I know Basta, the other lady, blitz was also good, but it would have been such a good fight. And I remember asking and fighting for this playoff we needed to have, because I let the men play out, which had the exact same situation, but the women not. They just said, no, the women don't play out. So that was quite a big disappointment for me at that stage. And then when I got the opportunity in 2011, I actually beat Melissa in the actual African individuals. But then I ended third. But because we ended joint third, they could only choose one to go to the World Championship. And now suddenly, instead of, like what happened in Zambia, suddenly now they said, now there's a playoff. And then Melissa and I had a playoff, and then she beat me. And then she said, but she can't go to the World Championship in any event. So I went the next year. Yeah.
And how did you?
Oh, yes. I played on board 2 against Hampi Koneru at the World Championship. And that was really such an awesome experience. I think she's a humble player, and I really enjoyed my game against her.
No, Denise, thank you very much for. I've got a number of questions, but Calvin also has some questions that he wishes to ask you from the side of the viewers. So from my side, thank you very much. But I've still got some questions that I wish to pose. Calvin, over to you.
Okay, I'm back. And yeah, guys, keep the questions coming. We've got a couple in the chat box and a nice statement here as well. Let's just see. Welcome, everyone. So, first question from Boom Shaka is how do you juggle work, family, and chess, Denise?
Yeah, that's hard. Thanks for that question. When I was still at university, there were times where I played in the SA Championship and at the Olympiad and at the zonals, for that matter, where I was studying and where I was writing exams in the morning in Pretoria and then playing in the SA Championship in the afternoon, which was really difficult. Nowadays, it's different also because I'm married, but I'm still working, and a huge chunk of my life, due to my master's and doctorate degrees, entailed that I was working, studying, and playing chess at the same time. So for me, it's all about balance. I make sure that I exercise a lot. I love exercising, and then just managing your time well. And I think if something is really important to you, you will make time for it.
Okay, thank you. That's a nice answer. Just noticed the volumes went slightly lower there from your side, so I just upped it here. Check now with the next answer. We've got a nice comment here from Sean Wallenberg. Let's see, where is Sean's comment now? Okay, yeah, from Sean. Denise, you are truly the queen of SA chess. Thank you for being such a wonderful example to our upcoming girls and the young ladies. Thanks, Sean, for that nice comment. And then we've got, of course, our standard question here from one of our regular Skanda. Skanda is asking, maybe it can be a double question, because he first asked his usual one. I only have one question. Who is your favorite Indian player? And then later on, he mentioned that Hampi, since you mentioned Hampi Koneru, she is his favorite Indian woman player. So you can maybe say who's your favorite Indian woman player if you know anymore. So maybe favorite male and female.
Skanda, I might disappoint you to say that I do like Vishy's games, but I'm going to vouch for Hampi Koneru because I think sometimes she gets so much flack in the media that says that she's not friendly and she's always very serious. But when I played her at the World Championship, I was so impressed by her because she was so professional at the board, and it made me feel comfortable. And they just really got a liking in her because I think she's really humble, and I think she's a true ambassador for the sport because of the way that she treats her opponents.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Right. So let's see. We've got a couple more coming in. So Yeah. Okay. So just to end off, I know you just mentioned the match. So okay, you basically answered his question. He was asking how was your experience playing with Humpy? Yeah, of course. And then we've got a question here from Duke Simons. Welcome, Duke. He says, DNC, who was your toughest SA women's opponent over your chess career?
I think I had two, if I can give two. I think actually I had one, and I would say that was actually Maranay Meyer. She used to play for Verre Noord. That was she came from Pietermaritzburg. Petersburg area, and she's living in New Zealand now. She played for the New Zealand team at some point, and I think she's probably one of our probably was one of our most talented women players, because she was, for me, very unpredictable. I could never. She's very attacking and unpredictable. I always struggled to play her, and my results against her showed that too. So yeah, I'd say her.
All right, interesting stuff. Okay, so yeah, let's see. Just one last thing here in the chat box, then you can continue, London. Let's see. Okay, Sean, of course, mentioning here the Queen's Gambit caused quite a stir. So yeah, Queen's Gambit, of course, everybody's talking about it nowadays. IQ Math says chess has really developed in SA. Yeah, okay. So yeah, okay. So I think that's it for now. There's a couple more comments in here, but let's get back to London's questions, guys. Throw in your questions in the chat box. Yeah, we're gonna give some time at the end as well for more questions. I see more stuff is coming in, but throw your questions towards our guest, WIM Denise Bouah. We don't get a chance to ask our questions that often to the top players, so take time to chat with us in the chat box. Okay, over to you, Lyndon.
Thank you very much, Calvin. Yes, Denise, interesting that you mentioned Maranay Meyer there. I recall that in 2005, in fact, Maranay Meyer became the first and possibly only woman to date to play in the African individuals open section in Zambia. And she played alongside me there in that tournament. And then in 2014, she played for New Zealand at the Tromsø Norway Olympiad. So that's where we saw Maranay again. So no, thanks for reminding us that we've got some talented women players out there as well. So Denise, we've discussed various aspects relating to your African individuals, your All African Games, but it seems as if Namibia 2014 zonal championship has a special significance for you. My understanding is that you scored quite heavily in that event and in fact won that zonals. Denise, tell us a bit about that event.
Yes, that was a special tournament to play in for me. I've played, that was only my second individual zonals. The first one was for the WIM title, and then this one I scored 8.5 out of 9. So I won with a 2.5 point margin, and I just liked it. It was really good conditions that was offered for the players, and I've worked hard for the event as well. So I was happy to get the result that I got.
And I must say, Denise, that 2014 Namibia was a very happy hunting ground for South Africa, because Donovan van den Heever was also the zonal winner in the open section alongside you and got his IM title. And then, of course, later in that year, Kenny Solomon got his GM title in Namibia in 2014. So it seems we must ask the Namibians to organize more tournaments for us.
Yes, we will gladly travel there.
Yeah, no. So Otto and Charles, if you are listening, please make sure that you organize some tournaments. And I also recall even Henry Mohammed Steele playing very well at the 2007 African individuals as well. So no, there's quite a few of these things that one can look at. Now, Denise, you mentioned earlier that you started your studying and you needed to balance various items. What was your field of study, and can you tell us a bit about your master's thesis?
Yes, Lyndon, I studied psychology, and then my master's degree I did in counseling psychology. And my thesis was about using chess as a therapeutic medium in a substance abuse rehabilitation center. So I took chess there. I taught some of the patients there how to play chess, and then I would record the sessions. But we used the pieces to represent certain aspects of their lives, and it assisted them in talking about various issues that they have been encountering, and also things that they wanted to work on when they leave the center. And it was amazing because, even though we just use the pieces most of the time as metaphoric tools, so a lot of them said that they thought they are not clever enough to play chess. And it really broke my heart, because I thought that, everybody can play chess. You just need to be patient, learn the rules, and you can play. And I was happy to do the research there with that group of people, and it meant something for them. And I think at the end of the day, that is what we want from psychology. And if I can use chess, my passion, to achieve some of those therapeutic goals, then it's a win-win situation.
And thank you very much for that response, Denise. And you went on to complete your doctorate. What was your title of your doctorate? What was your content?
Yes, I researched habits, values, and mindfulness of elite athletes. I'm basically very much interested in why we as a country are losing a lot of our talented young athletes in any sporting code, really. And so that led me to look at the habits that we have, what keeps certain people going in sport and others not. And so I ended up looking at people's values and how they adjust their behavior in a sport context also to live according to the values that they hold dear. And then also how they are aware of their values and their habits and so on. So it was a long study to do, and it was very fruitful also. So today in my practice, I can use a lot of those results. And also the book that I wrote, Sports Psychology for Children, is based on the actual research study. And we actually took all that information and made it easy and relevant for children, so that we can teach our kids about mental training and what are some of the things that are important that we see elite athletes are doing.
Denise, thank you very much for that. How important is psychology in chess?
I think it's very important. I like over the board play because I get in touch with my opponent, and I love looking at people's body language when they play and when they sigh, and you pick it up from your opponents, and I enjoy that. I can't say that I actively sit and wait and see what the player is doing. I'm probably my psychology training, you just pick it up naturally. And I think it's important to be able to pick yourself up after you've lost a game, because most of our tournaments are so fast paced nowadays, is that you have to pick yourself up and play your next game in about 30 minutes, sometimes shorter time frame. And in that regard, it's very important to be resilient and to know that you should move on, and to actually have the skills to move on, and not sit and be hard on yourself for something you've done an hour or two ago that didn't give you a good result. And then goal setting and things like that as well.
And do you set goals for yourself?
Yes, I do. I always have, at the beginning of the year, I sit and I decide what do I want to do for the year. In terms of my chess, I jot down the tournaments I'm going to play in, and then I try to play in those tournaments that I've set out. So because I'm busy during the year, I can't play in all of them, but then the ones that I do decide to play in, some of my favorite ones, then I would write down and say, if that tournament is in October, like for example, the Mackey Memorial used to be, then I would make sure that I do training in September at least, and before that already. So yes, I do set goals, some of them long-term, short-term. And when I was younger and very, very competitive with the chess, I used to set a lot of goals, and I've worked hard for them. So I think goal setting is very important.
Now, Denise, I see from your CV that you are currently playing for Steinitz Chess Club, and that you were part of the A team that won the league in 2018 and 2019. How do you find playing within a club like Steinitz?
It's a good feeling to be part of a winning team, always. But I also know that those wins don't come easy. And I think it's good to be part of a team and a club where the players work really hard. And if I sit on board, I'm normally there at the back of the 18 because our team is so strong. I feel that I can't lose because I will let the team down. So it's not a social, although we're all sociable with each other, we really mean business when we play. And for that, you really have to, play your best moves because the team expects that of you. So I think it lifts all of our games. And it's always played in a good spirit as well. And I think I really like that about the club.
And Denise, if you could look back now on part of your career, you won a few medals at those African team championships. How many medals did you win over the 3 African team championships that you participated in?
I think at Lyndon it was 4, and then 3 Team South Africa medals attached to that. So that would make that 7, but I think 4 from my own side.
Yeah. I'm assuming that they were very special to you as well.
Yes, because it was hard slog work at the African Games. Those results don't come easy because you don't play in favorable conditions. And so there you learn how to balance and how to actually focus on the chess itself and not get sidetracked by all the things that are not working out. And at the African in Algeria, we had the opening ceremony, and I remember the chef de mission from South Africa. She was so angry at me because I had my backpack with me and I had my camera and my passport in it. And I was not allowed to walk around the field with that backpack on my back. And she made me give my bag to a completely stranger in Algeria, and that I had to find among all those thousands of people afterwards. It was nerve-wracking, that you won't find at a normal tournament. So you have all these other stresses that you need to deal with. In Algeria, we didn't leave with a bus and before they actually checked our bus for bombs. And, then you travel in that bus and you think, I hope they checked everywhere. It's a different type of mindset that you have to have. And I think it can be quite challenging.
And Denise, thank you very much for that. When it comes to coaching, because I noticed also that you have been a coach and that you have been a student of many different coaches. You spoke about John Sutherland. What has been your experience as a student firstly, and then as a coach? What would be your philosophy?
Yeah, I think I've had quite a few coaches over the years. I was thinking back some time ago, in 2000, when I played in that first SA Women's Closed, my coach at that time, I won't mention his name, 2 of my opponents in the tournament came to me and said, do you know that your coach is trying to sell your games to us so that we can prepare against you? I was like,
no, that couldn't be.
Yes, I couldn't believe it. I actually still need to find out how much he actually charged, how much it was worth. I don't think they bought any of it, but it was really odd. And, through the years, you learn about coaches in the way that they treat you. And through that, it made me the coach that I am today. And I think it's really important that you are there for your student and it's not all about money. I've been at tournaments abroad where I need my coach. I just need my coach to look at my game. And then the feedback will come, I'll only look at your game if you pay me beforehand. And I'm sitting overseas. And I'm thinking, but I need your support now. This is what we've worked for more than a year. And then it falls flat. And then you feel like you're on your own. And so that's not good. I think you need to walk a path with your student. And you need to come close to your student. For me, it's important to be able to relate to and have a good relationship with my students, not just in terms of chess, but also to have a good interpersonal relationship as well, where I can understand what the student is going through at school, why they are busy and things like that. But also you can only come as close to your student as they allow you to. And through that, I've learned that, if I work with a coach, I put everything on the table and say, this is where I'm at. Let's work from this. Because that way you get quicker into progress. So I think coaches have a very big role to play in the students' lives.
And when you coach, what is your philosophy? Do you follow the same?
I think it's a combination of a couple of things. John Sutherland, so unconventional. He gave me the book to read, The Road Less Traveled. That was the book I had to read in high school, and that was part of my coaching. And I remember learning from that book that you can't choose who you fall in love with, but you can choose who you love. I was like, John, how's this got to do anything with chess? But I've learned that chess is not, or any coaching thing is not just about technique and skill. It's also about the mental aspect. And I think that seed was planted way back there with him. So today when I coach, I don't teach my students all the same openings. Each student is treated individually. And if that means I work really, really hard to make that student play that opening very well, then that is what we do. Not just because now I'm lazy and I'm going to teach what I've taught the one before and let's do those that we did with the other one, because no student is the same. They have their own weaknesses and strengths that you need to work on. So yeah, I think that's my philosophy, is to take each student and treat them individually.
Denise, thank you very much. So, I mean, it's an important task, because, of course, one can't give the same lesson, because, of course, different students have different personalities as well. Some may like the French, others may like the Sicilian. I mean, some is a king four player, others are queen pawn players. So, I mean, there's various... Denise, I've noticed behind you that you've got quite a lot of books there behind you. Have you read all of those books? Can you tell audience the truth?
I'm a very selective reader, I can tell you that. But I cannot walk past a bargain book. And if it's in a topic that I like, I'm going to buy that book. And I find that I use these books actually a lot for reference books, especially with my clients and also with my chess students. I would buy certain books for certain reasons. So, for example, I'll have a book on bipolar. I'm not going to read the whole book on bipolar because don't have such a big interest in it, but I have the book here for in case I have a client with bipolar, then I'll do some research and things like that. So I believe it's as a psychologist, it's important that you have a big library so that you can have reference material as well.
So if a chess player plays e4 and d4, is he a bipolar chess player?
I might have to look in the book.
Denise, tell us, with those trophies there at the back, I noticed that you won the Western Cape Ladies Open in 2007 and 2009, and that you've been part of the Western Province teams that played in the interprovincials. Have you felt part of Western Province, having come from Gauteng probably a decade and a half ago?
I still don't have a Western Province tracksuit. So I think one day when I actually pull one over my head, I'll feel part of a Western Province team. So I have my Gauteng North colours and my SA colours, but I don't have a Western Province colours per se. Yeah.
Sure. I hope Mr. van Staden may be listening there, because you have been one of Western Province's standout players over the last few years. Denise, if you could pick one tournament that was your favorite over the years from any country, which tournament would that be?
Sure. Yeah, each tournament is so special because everything, obviously the ones that you win are quite nice, but I think, one Olympiad that I actually enjoyed quite a lot was the one in Spain in 2004. And one of the main reasons for that was the opening ceremony. It was phenomenal. They took us to the beach, and on the beach, they actually had white and black horses representing the pieces, and they moved between us on the sand, and it was just wow. And they had people hanging from a what do you call those things? A crane. Almost 64 of them hanging there in the shape of a chessboard. It was just, for somebody that just started doing chess travels, was really amazing. And then I've played a tournament in Malaysia, Lyndon, where it was a World Student Championship, and we were 4 players from South Africa that went. That was probably the most fun tournament because they had team building activities for the players that we got to do with each other. And then the next day we sit there and we are all serious again. So that was really, I must say, very enjoyable as well.
No, it sounds really hectic and fun as well. Denise, I've got 1 or 2 more questions that I'll keep for the last, but let us hand back to Calvin for a moment. Over to you, Calvin.
Okay, I'm back, guys. So very interesting stuff thus far. Thanks Denise and Lyndon. So thank you guys for all the questions thus far. Welcome to Neil all the way from London for thank you for following. So let's see, I've got a question here from, first of all, Istvan. Welcome, Istvan, also a regular on our show. Istvan saying, outstanding chess credentials. Your husband must be really proud of you. Thanks, Isvan. And then Hibernator M says, your longevity in chess is amazing, Denise. How has your style evolved over your chess career?
It's an interesting question. Thank you. I've looked at my games at some point, and I've realized that basically pre 2005, I used to be a very, very attacking player, and I think I went through my own personal changes as well. And then at some point, I started studying Karpov's games, and I just started drawing all my games. Draw, lose, lose, lose. And I thought, no, I don't like this. So I stopped studying Karpov, which is a mistake because you need to study Karpov. And there's a reason for that. But I think then I went through a patch of combining a bit of attacking and more positional. And then I went through a patch of just complicating matters on the board. And now I'm at that spot where I feel I actually want to do things from scratch again and start bringing the attacking flair in again, because I miss that in my games quite a lot. And then build the chaos on my boards on good positional foundations, if that can be attained at all. So I'm still busy with Petrosian. I'm still studying Tigran Petrosian's games. I've done that now for the last few months, on and off. And I must say, I'm really enjoying his game. So maybe some of that will rub off.
Okay, all right, interesting stuff. Yeah, I must add there, I think Petrosian is also one of my favorite players to watch. His style is amazing. And yeah, maybe just to link on that, I don't know, is it going to be something similar or what? But there's another question that says, who is your favorite chess player in general?
At this moment, I can't say that I have a favorite one, to be honest.
Okay.
I haven't been really somebody that would idolize a certain player. I actually enjoy watching Movsesian's games. I like the way he plays.
All right.
And I've got one of Judith's, well, I've got a couple of Judith Polgar's books here. I like the way she complicates positions again. That I like a lot as well. So those are the two that if I do my opening work, or if I just feel like browsing through things, then I like to look at a variety of players and not just at one. Yeah. And then I would just like to make a mention, because I heard that you mentioned Neil from London is here, and that's actually Grandmaster Neil Mcdonald. And I'd like to mention him because I did actually quite a bit of training with him in my earlier years. And I met Neil for the first time at the World Youth, because at that time he was England's newest Grandmaster.
Okay.
So I'm glad that he's online here tonight as well.
Fantastic. In fact, we've got a question from Neil coming up pretty soon as well, Denise. So just hang on over there. But thanks for your answer. And yeah, so next question is from Fundi3. The question is, Denise, did you meet or play against Mrs. Robertson, who was the first SA Ladies Champ?
I've never played Tannie Vaini, but I've met her quite a few times, because when I lived in Pretoria, I used to play in the Piet Robertson Open, which was named after her husband. And her husband, Piet, always opened the event. He always gave a really nice speech. And then when he passed away, then she opened the event a few times. And I've met her, I've seen her probably about, I think, 3 years ago in Stilbaai at the... what was that tournament, Lyndon? The
Western Cape Club Championship.
Okay. Yes, and then I lost a game there, and then Tannie Vaini comes there to me, Mrs. Robertson, and she says, "You know why you've lost?" And I said, "No, I don't." Now she's saying this in Afrikaans. She says, "Because you did not connect your two rooks to each other."
Oh.
And she came to watch my games, and I said, "Yes, Tannie Vaini, that is true." And Tannie Vaini used to coach my older brother, Jock, when he was still in primary school. He was in her coaching group. And that's where I've met her for the first time, when I was probably about 10 or 11.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Next question from Greyold the Wizard, also a regular on the show. Thanks for your question, Greyold. What advice do you have for young girls starting their chess career in a boy-dominated sport?
It's... when I started playing chess in high school, in Gauteng North, we were 2 girls playing chess in that high school for the province. It was me and Renee van Zyl. Oh, and Michelle Menard. We were 3. That was it. And, that was, during between rounds, I remember sitting all by myself waiting for the next round because there were no girls to hang around with or anything. And I think you really have to inculcate a love for the game. And you need to find the things in chess that you enjoy. Do your tactics, pace yourself, keep track of your improvement, learn new openings. I used to make my openings. I had to so colorful because at that point I didn't have a computer to do chess. Because it's something that I learned that I really want to do, and you can't base your results and your success on other girls that's playing or not playing. You need to do things for yourself. And I think it's good to have role models as well. I arrived at the tournament, this was now a few years ago, and this little girl comes up to me and she says, "Oh, are you Denise?" And I looked at her and I said, "Yes, I am." She says, "Oh, I've always wanted to meet you." And, I felt so humbled because I thought, I didn't know that, other players actually look at what I'm doing. And there was this little girl that I don't know from a bar of soap, but she was watching. And I think for us as some of, from the stronger female players, I think we need to realize also that there are younger girls that are looking up and they are seeing what we are doing. And we need to, reach out to them as well. So I think if you're a young girl and you're passionate about your chess and you want to do well, you should study the classical games, go through the old world champion games, because that's where it all started. And I always did a bit of effort to also look at the women's world champions and look at those games as well and those plays, because that's inspiring to see what other good female players are doing. I'm a girly girl, so I like to look at what the women are doing and not just the men are doing. But also, you need to find, say, for example, if you want to play the Sicilian, then you find the best player playing that Sicilian that you want to play and you study those games. So it's all about having fun and setting your goals for yourself and see what you want to achieve.
All right, cool. Thank you. Yeah, that was a nice answer. Thank you. And then we've finally got to the next question from Grandmaster Neil Mcdonald. So Neil says, greetings from London. How important is psychology in deciding a chess game between players with equal ability?
Yeah, I think Neil, that's a tough one also, because I think a lot of times it comes down to determination and who's willing to really work that little bit harder at the board, and not just think, okay, no, you won't see that or she won't see that, but you need to stay one move ahead. And what I always find interesting in playing is that there comes that moment in a chess game, if you're losing, where you actually have to acknowledge that you're losing. And that's the most fascinating thing for me to look at with players, because, I think sometimes you see that when, just that moment before a player really goes down in flames on the board, you really have to accept and acknowledge that. And that's when I think when psychology is also really interesting to see. I don't know if that makes sense. But I think if you have two equally strong players, it's all going to come down to the preparation that they did and also trusting in the preparation they did, so that moment doesn't become too big and you lose psychologically, even though you had all the skills and the techniques ready. So I think you need to have self-composure, and you need to have confidence, and you need to have that grit that says that you will continue regardless if you're that pawn down or you've lost some positional scope, but that you will fight back. And I think that's the true test of a very strong player.
All right, fantastic. Interesting stuff there, Denise, and interesting that preparation also playing a key role over there with your confidence in that regard. So yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's all the questions for now. I do have a lovely statement here as well from one of our regulars as well. I think yeah, I'll read this one and then I'll hand it over to Lyndon. So this from Boom Shaka. Boom Shaka always on our show, so thanks, Boom Shaka. So Boom Shaka says, I've known Auntie Denise for most of my life. What an inspiration! Exclamation. As a female chess player, she has helped me a lot in my chess career. Thanks, Auntie Denise. With a smiley face. Thanks, Boom Shaka. Yeah, so that's all from the chat box for now. Thank you to Wolfsang as well for following. Welcome. So yeah, that's all from the chat box. Lyndon, over to you.
Thank you very much, Calvin, and thank you for those questions as well. And Denise, a number of commentators have noted your longevity in chess, having played and played consistently over this last. Is it nearly 25 to 25 years or longer that you've been competing and also competing at the highest level? Denise, what does it take to maintain success for such a long time? In your case, what would you subscribe it to?
I think it's knowing that chess is not seasonal. You can't have, I'm just going to play in the in the summer or in the winter or just December. I've always worked consistently hard throughout the year. I know there's been December holidays where I've gone nowhere. I would sit and train and do chess. I know, Lyndon, before we even dated, I used to travel to PE to do chess, and that was just life. That was just what I did. I've always been very, not just passionate about it, but if I set my mind to something, I really work at it. And if you want results next year with your chess, you need to work at it now. It's not as most players know, it's not a quick fix. It's not I'll do something now and then next month I'm going to play extremely well. That can happen, but it's not what always happens. So I think for me, it's just to not see chess seasonal. I'm a chess player. That's one of my traits in life, and it's part of who I am. And I enjoy it. So if I enjoy something, I spend time on it. And I haven't lost my love for the game. I don't think I ever will. And now I'm reading that. I haven't watched the Netflix Queen's Gambit because I found the book in Lyndon's library. So I'm reading the book now, and just reading that is inspirational again. And then it makes me think, oh, but what do I still want to do with my chess one day? And now I've got thoughts running again. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe I haven't played enough in Africa yet. I should do maybe another African individuals. I don't know. So, but I think the main thing is that chess is not seasonal. And if you are a true chess player, you will continue playing chess, and you will work your way up through the tournaments. And it's part of you end up being part of a family. You can go to any province. I mean, I've played so long. You go to any province and you always know people and that will welcome you into their homes and say, it's lovely seeing you again. And how are you? And I think that's what I enjoy. And that's a bit hard now with lockdown as well, because you actually start missing the chess family and seeing all the people.
Denise, last question from me. Who's your favorite author?
Chess author.
Chess author.
There's two actually. I am just a Dvoretsky fan. I love Dvoretsky's books. Throughout my children years, we've had Dvoretsky books in the house. We didn't have a lot of chess books, but we've had Dvoretsky. And when I got the chance, I bought his NK manual, which I really, really like a lot. And then I like Edmar Metnes. I like his books. He writes brilliantly on endgames. I love studying endgames. So I must say Edmar Metnes and Dvoretsky. Those are my two favorite authors.
Thank you very much, Denise. I think Dvoretsky is obviously well known, and Edmar Mednes, American grandmaster, passed away a few years ago, but fantastic series of books that he released over time. And of course, I've got one or two, and I do use them frequently. Denise, from my side, thank you very much for having agreed to be on the show tonight. We also know that it's your birthday week. For the viewers out there, it will be Denise's birthday on Thursday. So from my side, I publicly wish her a happy birthday for Thursday, and I hope her husband takes her out for Thursday night supper.
I hope so too.
So thank you very much, Denise. Any last comments to the viewers before I hand you back to Calvin?
It's been a privilege to play chess and also to represent South Africa. And I remember sitting at my first my first ever World Youth game where I sat down and I played my opponent. She was from Russia. She completely wiped me off the board. I sat down and I thought to myself, wow, so this is what it feels like. It was amazing. And I think every time I play for the country, doesn't matter if it's an All African Games or if it's a zonals or a Olympiad. I mean, there's no better feeling than to play board one at the Olympiad. I think that is probably one of my best moments ever, is to actually do that. And I thrive on that. I thrive on playing board one, not on three, because I perform under pressure. I do well with pressure situations. And every time I play and I sit down for South Africa, I always think there's actually a couple of million people that I'm representing here. They might not know me, but that flag is there next to my board and next to my, behind my name, and it's always a good feeling. So I think, we all have to strive to play the best chess that we can play, and it brings joy, it brings heartache, it brings tears. I've had my tears when I've lost games. It was so important, and it's human, so we need to take our losses on the chin, and we also need to be graceful when we have victory. And I think that's really important for us as people. So yeah, it's been a privilege, and thank you also so much for everybody listening tonight.
Thank you very much, Denise. And to Iswan, who asked that earlier question, her husband is proud of her. So Iswan, that is the answer to that question. Is her husband proud? I think he is. Definitely, he would be the answer on that side. Denise, thank you very much for agreeing to be on the reflections in the first season. And we will look forward to hopefully seeing you over the board in 2021. So thanks for that. Calvin, over to you to close.
All right. Right, guys. So, yeah, some birthday wishes coming in the chat box already. So happy birthday to Denise in advance as well. We're celebrating the birthday here on Reflections for Thursday already. And yeah, so thanks, Lyndon, for hosting and bringing the special guest, WIM Denise Bouah. Thank you, Denise, for taking the time out of your schedule to join us tonight. It's been a very lovely entertaining show, and of course I went to the Olympiad with Denise as well. I think I probably met Denise through London, and it was nice seeing her play and taking the chess serious there, and of course getting to know her better personally as well was also very pleasurable. So yeah, guys, I think, and of course I also know a bit more about the chess after this episode. So very, very nice show. So thanks to you, Denise, for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Calvin.
All right. So guys, all the reflections, or most of them, are on YouTube already. So go and check it out. We're going to put the nice episode on YouTube as well. So if you're somebody that you know, a friend or whoever couldn't check it out live, we will post it on YouTube pretty soon. And yeah, just before we announce who is on next week, Tuesday, I just want to show you guys, someone in the chat box also asked when is the next stream, and that will be tomorrow evening, guys. We don't usually have a stream Wednesday evening. Usually we have now this Thursdays, but I've adjusted it to specifically for tomorrow evening for our Paradigm Chess 30 new variant by Lorenzo and Craig. So this is what we are going to see tomorrow evening. So there we have it. It's Paradigm Chess 30, and our special guest for the evening is FIDE Master Daniel Barish, and he will be showing us one of his latest variant games, this Paradigm Chess 30 games, and also doing maybe a Blitz game and so on. So interesting stuff over there tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. Okay, so guys, that's our last show for November and second last for the year in our first season of Reflections. Lyndon, who are we, or what are we doing, and who are we seeing next week?
Calvin, it's the show is called Reflections, and there's a specific reason for that, is because over the last 5 years, I've been writing stories and articles about chess in South Africa, Cape Town, Africa, and in the world. And I've sent these articles to many, many people to read on their phones and on their laptops and on websites. And this year, Calvin, during the lockdown, I decided to put some of those reflections together. And next week, I will be launching the book called Reflections on Chess in the Rainbow Nation right here on the Reflection Show. It will be the first Reflections publication, Volume 1, 2020. And I'll be launching the book officially on the show. And I will be the guest next week, and Calvin will be the host that will be interviewing me. So that is the show for next week. It will be about the book and 1 or 2 questions about my chess life, but it will largely be about the book Reflections on Chess in the Rainbow Nation.
Okay, fantastic, guys. So there you have it. Thanks, Lyndon. So we're going to end off with our host, Dr. Bouah. I will be interviewing him and his book Reflections coming out. So do make sure that you take the time out next week. It's going to be a great finale. So next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. for the finale. Last one for the year, guys. Don't miss out on that one. So yeah, thanks, Lyndon. Thanks, Denise. You guys must enjoy your evening and the rest of your week, and of course Thursday, your birthday, Denise. So enjoy, and thanks, and everybody else, thank you for watching and commenting, and see you guys tomorrow evening for our Paradigm Chess 30. Enjoy, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks, Denise. Bye, everybody. Bye.